So it's Monday, and Mondays are usually when we cover topics for single people. This week, we're going to be switching it up a little bit because we haven't had a chance to make an episode for married people in quite some time, for one reason or another. But this isn't just any episode about marriage. This is going to be episode 2 of our 2-part series on divorce, where we talk about the 2 most common causes of divorce, in my personal opinion. Can you guess what is the other common cause of divorce?
My favorite among us, sabotage, communication.
So communication.
Yeah.
Ironically, that was almost not well communicated because I almost didn't understand you, but I got it in the end. But you're right. Lack of communication.
Yeah.
That's, in my opinion, the second most common cause of divorce. Let's get into it. So, assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Muslim Marriage Podcast, where we show you how to find and build a healthy marriage as a Muslim. I'm Zahra Hassan.
And I'm AJ, and we've been married for 4 years. And if you like our videos, please comment and subscribe. Ask your questions below or on our website, and you may feature in one of our future videos with your permission. And please remember, everything we talk about can be found on our website, zahrahassancoaching.com.
And as a thank you, get your free copy of my Healthy Marriage Habits Guide that's available in the links below. Also, if you're a single woman and would like help on how to use the dating apps so that they actually work, sign up for my live webinar in the links below and I'll teach you. So this week's episode is entitled, I'm tired of fighting about everything. I almost didn't say it properly, but we got there in that.
Truth, I am tired about fighting about everything.
With me or someone else?
No, with the voices in my head.
Okay, that's a whole different show. So that brings us to the question for this week's episode, coming from the Muslim Marriage subreddit. A brother asks, he says, "Salam everyone. I've been married for a year now, and since then I've been struggling with a lack of emotional connection to my wife. It's not a constant feeling, but it comes and goes. Recently, things have become more difficult between us, and we find ourselves arguing almost every other day. She is a kind person, but she has very low self-esteem and often blames me for the sacrifices she made when she left her home and moved to be with me. Another issue is that her low self-esteem has affected how I view her. And to be honest, I'm struggling with finding her attractive due to this constant self-loathing. I am someone who strives to live according to my religious principles, and this sometimes creates tension between us. For instance, she wants to travel with her friends for leisure to other countries, but I've not seen any religious texts or teachings from imams that support this, so I feel uncomfortable with the idea. I want to support her, but I also feel it's important to stick to my values in this matter. She's very talkative, and while I used to love that about her, especially since I'm more of an introvert, lately it started to bother me, especially when the conversations revolve around petty or trivial things. Given everything, I feel that it might be best for both of us to part ways, so we can find happiness individually. I want what's best for her, but I also feel like we may not be the right fit for each other anymore. Any advice is welcome. Thanks."
I feel like there's an easy answer to that.
What's the easy answer?
The easy answer is that if she was more confident where she was living before, why don't y'all move back there? And move back there so that she can at least regain her confidence.
So you're thinking that the issue is self-esteem stemming from the fact that she's now living in a place that's completely unfamiliar.
Yeah, he said that he fell in love with her or married her when she was at the other place, right?
Yeah.
And she was one way at that location.
Mm-hmm.
Then she came over to live with him, separate from that area that she used to live. I don't know if it's a different country or a different town.
Yeah.
But she wasn't able to connect with people. She didn't have a group of friends. She seemed like she wasn't able to communicate with people.
Yeah.
And so she blamed that on him, and she also became more shy, introverted. And so instead of divorcing her, not giving her a chance, try different things. See if she can either make new friends or new connections here to build up her confidence again.
Yeah.
Or try moving to where she is, or at least visiting the place that she used to live, so that she can try to like recover.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that there's other things that are at play here, but assuming that this is what's going on and this is what's at play, this is going to take a conversation or two.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they're going to be able to have this conversation or two?
To an extent.
Yeah, because let's say that the solution was in fact to move back to where she was originally.
Yeah.
That means to uproot everything and to... So how would he approach that conversation?
He would say, "That's it. I've had it. I've had enough of this place. We're moving. Pack your bags."
All right, so that is definitely one approach and will probably make things a lot worse.
Oh, worse?
A lot worse, in my opinion.
Oh.
It depends. If it was said to me in that manner, definitely would make things worse.
Okay, just give me a second. I got to change something on my calendar.
What are you making? What are you changing?
You don't have to worry about that. And there you go. All right, I just cleared that.
I'm so glad that we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So I don't, in my opinion, the self-esteem. So they've been married 1 year. Definitely, marital circumstances can take a toll on your self-esteem depending on how your spouse is treating you, especially if you're not being treated well. But in only 1 year, and by the way that he's speaking, I don't know. I don't think that that's what's the case here. I think that the self-esteem issues likely preceded the marriage. It's something that was brought into the marriage, assuming that there are self-esteem issues, right? So I'm just going to take the brother for his word and go with his estimation that self-esteem issues are a big part of what's going on. I think most likely because they were living in two separate places, he wasn't able to see that side of it or how much of it affected in her day-to-day until they came to move together and be physically in the same house. Which is why I say so often for my clients who are not yet married, and I say it all the time on the podcast, you don't really know somebody until you're actually physically living with them in the same house. No matter how well you think you know them, you don't know them.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why it's super important to talk to the family.
I'm saying even if they talk to the family, right? Definitely the family might have been able to clue him in. Let's say the family did clue him in and tell him you need to be aware that our daughter struggles with self-esteem issues or etc. He might be naive, like he might have an idea of what that's like, and he might make a decision according to having an idea of what that's like. So his self talk might go something like, "Oh well, I think she's beautiful. I think she'll be able to grow out of that." Do you see what I'm saying? Like he might not know how he's going to actually react to it. He'll have a theory of how he'll react to it. So even if the parents tell you exactly what it is that's going on, you still won't have an accurate representation of what it will be like to live in that situation until you're actually living in that situation, right? So that's why it's so important. It's really important to keep that in mind when you're choosing a spouse. We do our best. You do everything that you can to make sure you're making the best possible decision for yourself. But to understand that all of that goes once you're in the same house, physically in the same house, this is when it's really important to make sure that your communication skills are on point to be able to bridge that gap between the two of you, to actually to be able to come together as a couple, right? So that's what we're going to talk about in this specific scenario with this brother and this sister. I think that there were self-esteem issues that preceded the marriage, and I think that to some degree, one way or another, he was probably okay with it because they've been married a year.
Yeah.
Right? He was probably okay with it. I think that as you are now exiting that honeymoon stage, right, and you're now entering the power struggle stage of the relationship, which usually happens about after 6 months to 2 or 3 years, right? So the stage that they're in now, the things that you found endearing about your spouse during the honeymoon stage will now start to grate on your nerves. That's just
now it's like you got to challenge them for territory, you know?
Yeah, you agreed with that way too strongly.
You got to challenge them for territory. You got to be like, "No.
Okay.
This is my food.
All right.
This is my meat."
I wasn't challenging you.
No, I'm talking about like in the jungle.
In the jungle? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like you got to talk about like in the savannah.
In the savannah?
Yeah, because he said it's a power struggle.
Okay.
If you see a zebra
There's no zebras?
and you see another lion,
Uh-huh.
they're like, back off.
All right. So in the power
I'm
struggle,
escorting this zebra to the water.
of course, but in the power struggle of a regular human being's home,
Oh, okay.
regular homes.
What's a zebra doing in the home?
I don't.
Why are we buying zebras to the house?
All right. So let me just gather my train of thought. So you understand what it is that I'm saying on a regular. You understand me? Yeah?
Yeah.
We're on the same page?
Communication, good.
Good, yeah. It's good. Ironically. So what I'm saying here is that as they're entering the power struggle phase of their relationship, just like every couple does, who makes it beyond the honeymoon stage, if you're gonna find generally that the things that you were really endearing about your spouse during the honeymoon stage are going to grate on your nerves, right? Maybe sort of like the jokes that they make.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a completely unrelated example that has nothing to do with anything.
It's me. I'm the problem.
But in this case, what it is that he's found that's grating on her is that he thinks that she now talks too much and that she has poor self-esteem, right?
Yeah.
So what I think's happening here is that there might be a little bit of resentment building, right? That when we start talking about our spouse in this way, it likely means that there's some resentment that's here, that's on board. And if you let that resentment build, eventually that's how you get onto that path of divorce, which is where he feels like this is heading. If you have married, if you are married to an individual who cares about your well-being, generally cares about your well-being, and is invested in the marriage as you are, right? Then most things can be solved with good communication, with effective and good communication, which is what I think is going on here. That this brother and this sister have not really been talking to each other in an effective way. And that most likely whatever are his emotional needs are going unaddressed and her emotional needs are going unaddressed. And those lack of emotional, like the unmet emotional needs, are probably the underlying causes of the things that they fight about. So if you have an emotional need, for instance, of appreciation, like most people do, those people are human beings, but I feel like I need my spouse to acknowledge and appreciate the things that I do for them. Let's just give an example because it's a common one. Let's give an example that's the emotional need that this gentleman has. And in one way or another, that's been going unmet, probably because they haven't communicated it, but it's been going unmet for a year, right? So for a year, he's feeling unappreciated. Maybe there's an issue of autonomy, all these other issues that are going on. That's going to lead to building of some resentment. And when you have now resentment on board, the things that your spouse does are going to start to bother you. You're going to find yourself being critical of them, which is what's going on here. He's being critical.
Yeah.
You're going to find yourself being more critical. The things that they consider flaws are going to be more highlighted with spotlights. Very bright, high megawatt spotlights are going to be on those flaws. So if she, for example, says, you know what, I think I've gained a little bit of weight, which is something that is a normal sentence that's said in houses across the world, at least one regularly. Right?
Famously, women say, do I look fat in these jeans?
Okay. All right.
Famously.
So she might say something like that. More in the honeymoon stage, he might have just had this instinct of, because there wasn't all this resentment, and he was able to accept her words less clouded. Does that make sense? More objectively, hear her words in more clearly. However, when you have resentment building, what that does is it starts to cloud your perception of what your spouse does or says through this film of resentment. And this film of resentment is usually has narratives.
Yeah.
As a narrative. This narrative here is that she has low self-esteem. And that low self-esteem makes me feel unattracted to her because I feel like I have to keep reassuring her. That's probably the train of thought there.
That he has.
Yeah, right. I'm just assuming. But when you have this film there, it's just going to, with this narrative, it's going to be very difficult for your spouse to literally say anything, and be received clearly, unadulterated by this film, by the resentment. Does that make sense? That's why resentment is so harmful, is because it will start to color how you hear and see your spouse. It'll
like
affect,
a chameleon.
like a, more like literally a film, right?
Like a film.
Like a film. So that's the dynamic of what's going on here. So what needs to happen in this case is that this brother and sister need to sit down with somebody who can help them learn how to talk to each other. I know it sounds so basic. I know so many of us assume, oh no, definitely, I'll know how to communicate with my spouse. I know I said that, right? And so many of my clients, we just assume, well, this is something we'll just know how to do.
Talk. I'm doing that right now.
Most of the time. Actually, all the time. I shouldn't have said all the time.
Blah, blah, blah.
There you go. But we just make that assumption. That's not the case for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, the vast majority of people, the issue that they'll find themselves married, confronted with this person who's a different human being and a different gender, which matters. They'll find that it's the way that they are normally able to communicate to people is not working on this person. And
that's true.
Yeah, and they're having a very difficult time saying things such that it's heard, and they don't know it, right? But they don't know that their partner is usually having the same difficulty with them.
Yeah.
That when their partner says something to them that they think they heard it, but they didn't hear it. Okay, so let me give an example. So he has this issue with regards to self-esteem. Let's say they are at home and she cooked a dish. Like she made a food.
I thought you were going to say a thief breaks in.
All right.
I was ready for that example.
I know you were. We're just a different episode.
Yeah.
But for this episode, let's say she made his favorite meal. All right. Let's say she made his favorite meal. One of my favorite meals is biryani. Let's say she made biryani. Right. And she spent a lot of time on it. It's a very time intensive dish. And then she makes it, puts it on the table, and he comes and he sits down because it took her so much time. And because she understands that there's probably a lot of tension in the marriage because they had a fight yesterday or the day before that. And part of the reason why she's making his favorite meal is to try to smooth that over, right?
Yeah,
with this gesture.
smooth the tensions.
Yeah, with this act of service, right? Because maybe she might know the act of service or his love language. This might be what's happening here. So she puts this meal on the table because she spent so much time on it and there's all of this tension. She might ask him, so how is it? Right? So she's like, how is it? You didn't say anything. How is it? And now, normally, he would be able to receive that as, oh, she spent so much time on this. I need to tell her. Because if he had made that dish, he would probably ask her, how is it? Right? But now you have this context of all the resentment. He's going to be like, oh, this is another. Why does she always need my reassurance? Why can't she just know that by herself that this is good?
Why can't she just understand that she's sufficient?
So do you know how he would answer? At this point, when he says, how is it?
It's fine, I guess.
That is, yes, exactly. Non-committal.
Yeah.
Right? And a little bit hostile. And she's going to read his tone. She's going to read the words. And she's going to use that as an affirmation of, no, he doesn't like the things that I make.
Mm-hmm.
So what is she going to do next time?
She's not going to be put as much effort into it.
Exactly. And this is how marriages start to break down, usually in the second year, etc. And all of this can be solved with, when I say solved, at least be addressed with the husband and wife sitting down with a coach, or a counselor, a therapist, or anyone who's able to translate for them, and have this conversation where the husband says something and is able to elicit from the husband that he has been feeling unappreciated in the marriage. This might be complete news. Like what I find with clients is that when we're able to discern what is the unmet need, it's almost always brand new information to the other spouse. And the spouse will usually express that, I wish you just told me. I wish you had just told me. If you had told me that's what it is, I'd be happy to do. I'd be happy to do the things to meet this emotional need. And this is from the husband or the wife.
They don't do the diagnosis. Like neither of them do the diagnosis.
Yeah.
And they expect the other to understand what's wrong, what's going on.
Exactly.
It's like a person who has some sort of cancer who ends up fainting, going to the hospital.
Yeah.
Talking to the doctor and saying, I wish you just told me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like you guys both have to meet in the middle and investigate
the underlying cause.
Yeah.
Right. So when the clients come and sit down with me and we have this conversation of, can you tell me about your last couple of fights, to be able to give me some insight as to what's going on, what are the likely dynamics. The wife might seem a little bit like withdrawn, right? And so the husband will say, yeah, our last fight was about biryani. Right? She made biryani, and what I told her was good. But she wouldn't accept that from me. She just got really mad. I don't even understand what happened there.
Mm-hmm.
To him, he might be like, the issue is about biryani. Or they'll come in and they'll say the issue is that he doesn't do the dishes, or she doesn't do the dishes, or he doesn't fill up the gas, or she doesn't fill up the gas, or whatever is the task. It's never about the dishes. It's almost never about the dishes. It's always about what does the lack of doing dishes mean to this person? What is it confirming for them with respect to the narrative that they've created, this narrative that is building and building resentment within them, right? So it's always about trying to find this underlying, understand what is this underlying cause. How do you do that? It requires a lot of introspection, honesty within yourself, vulnerability even before you speak to your spouse, honesty and vulnerability within yourself, right?
Yeah.
This is very difficult to do on your own, right? Very difficult to do on your own. I know it was very difficult for me to figure out for a very long time.
It's like trying to tickle yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I recommend is just sit, and I know this sounds like not a big deal, but what I would recommend is just sitting down with a piece of paper and a notebook, and whatever is the last thing that you and your spouse were upset about with each other, whatever is the last topic of the fight, just start to write down what was going on within. Try to explore, be curious about within yourself. What might be going on within you? Why was I so upset that he didn't do the dishes for 4 days? Yeah, I'm right. Just accept whatever you're upset about. Accept that you're right. Right? You're right and the other person's wrong. But why were you so upset out of proportion beyond the dishes? Is it because this is now another thing that I have to do that's on my plate that he didn't do? Yeah, that's probably it. But let's dig a little deeper until you'll know that you're on the right track when the things that you're figuring out are so the words that you're coming up with are more emotional, related to emotions. It makes me feel. What is it like when you start getting to the point of it made me feel? When you start seeing that in your journal, now you're starting to get to a place of underlying cause. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in the case of the undone dishes, it makes me feel less prioritized. It makes me feel, again, unappreciated because it's so common, etc. So just be curious about what you might be feeling. And write, just stream of consciousness, keep writing until you start to see the words I felt or I feel or it makes me feel.
I think it was fun when you had said he never does the dishes. This is more that's had to add onto my plate.
I know, I did that on purpose.
Oh, you did it on purpose?
Yeah, it was for you.
Okay. All right. I like that.
All right. It was a line that I spoon fed to you. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
there we go. All right. So hopefully that makes sense, right? Because the issue here is built up resentment with this brother again. The issue here is built up resentment. The underlying cause of built up resentment is a history of unmet needs, and the reason why these needs are unmet is because she doesn't know that they're unmet. They have not been communicated. This is a lack of communication issue. So the way that they got to this point is through lack of communication. And the way out from here back to a place that they want to be in is a lack of is with proper communication, effective communication. So what do you think is effective communication if you had to define
She don't know you, bro.
That's true, but if you had to define effective, what's the difference between effective and ineffective communication?
Literally the only difference between effective communication and ineffective communication is grabbing the shoulders and shaking a little. Now you listen to me.
Okay. It'd be hard for us to disagree with you there.
Don't do that. No, don't do that.
All right, so let me disagree with you there. But in my opinion, as a coach, effective communication is communication in which you both receive the information that you need.
Yeah.
Because we say communication so often that honestly it's lost all meaning. When it comes to the context of relationships, when people are asked any person on the street, what do you think it takes to make a good marriage work? And they'll say communication.
Yeah.
But what do they mean by communication?
A splash of love.
Okay.
I think you have to at least care about the person.
On some level.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. For context, that was the whole topic of the first episode in the divorce series, where you need to choose the right person, that person who actually cares about you. But communication, right? So what is meant by communication? Communication is speaking in such a way that both of you receive the information that you need.
Yeah.
And in order for your spouse to receive the information that they need, you need to know how to articulate what it is that you need.
Information.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even before you articulate what it is that you need to know what it is that you need. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the step that most people are missing. That introspection of going beyond the dishes, of going beyond the garbage that's not thrown out, whatever is the immediate issue, and really doing the work of introspection and digging a little bit and saying, why is that upsetting me so much? And then figuring that out, and then now articulating it. So imagine during their honeymoon phase, he was able to articulate, I really need for you to make appreciation is very important to me, right? Appreciation is very, very important to me, and it makes me feel like that what I'm doing is being seen, and that when I don't receive the appreciation, it makes me feel like, what's the point of doing things if they're not even landing? Yeah, exactly. If they're not actually landing with you. So it's really important to me that I need to know that what I'm doing is appreciated. If she had that information and she had been appreciating him all along, this would be a totally different marriage.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's, again, it's a huge assumption that that's his unmet need. That's a common one, I just guessed. Regardless, there is an unmet need here.
Yeah.
So that should be everything with respect to this question. Is there anything that we're missing?
I think for those of y'all that are married, that are listening,
Mm-hmm.
don't forget to appreciate the things that your spouse does for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't take it for granted, right? Say thank you.
Yeah, 100%.
Legitimately. Say thank you.
Yeah, 100%. Do you remember? Okay, so as an example, like part of the reason why we do this podcast together is to give examples where we can. So as an example, do you remember the last time I said thank you?
Yes, specifically.
Okay, tell me.
At which point you're going to remind me.
All right. What is it?
Yeah, no, you say thank you so often that I don't specifically have one in mind.
Okay, there you go.
But it's just a blur.
Yeah.
It's a blur of thank yous.
So it's the reason why I'm pointing that out is one thing that I have learned, right? Given the context of what I do with clients, and also the context of this is my second marriage. So one thing that I have learned is that you can never say thank you too much.
Mm-hmm.
And it really, I cannot tell you how important it is to people, even if your spouse is not saying it. Even if your spouse is not saying it or is not able to articulate this need, because they might even not be aware that that's what the unmet need is, right? Just like we've been speaking about, most people are not sure what the underlying unmet need is. They just know that they're upset with you.
Yeah.
Right?
The caveat, it's genuine thank yous, by the way.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
So if I'll give
there is a way to say thank you too many times. Like, thank you, I guess.
Okay. No.
That's a way. That thank you doesn't count.
No, but the ones, for example, so we film our episodes on Saturdays. So today's Saturday.
Today's Saturday.
Today's Saturday. So that means went to work yesterday.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So that means at the end of work, I said thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it because it's not easy, and all of that time was for us. So even saying thank you to your spouse for going to work, saying thanks to you for your spouse for taking care of your kids, right? Even though it's their children too. It's important to be seen by the things that are you spend the most effort doing all day, right? We spend all day taking care of our children, going to work, taking care of the household, cooking, like all of the things that we do, the effort.
Frankly, even taking care of ourselves.
Taking care of yourself, right? The things that you're putting effort into to make your family better and your family life better. If your spouse comes to you and says, I see this effort that you're putting into our family, and we appreciate it.
That kind of sentiment's enough to make a grown man cry.
That's beautiful. I think that's beautiful. Yeah. Grown man or grown woman, right?
Yeah.
So I think hopefully that's making sense. So if you're not sure what the unmet underlying emotional need is in your spouse, start with appreciation. It's a safe bet, right? If there are others, that's going to take a little bit more introspection, a little bit more discussion, a little bit more effective communication to figure that out. If you have access to somebody who can help you figure that out, whether it's a counselor or coach or therapist, somebody who has the skills to know what they're looking for when they're asking you questions, all the better. So that brings us to the end of this episode. But before we end it, that brings us actually a really nice segue. I have an announcement.
Ooh.
Yeah, this announcement is for our married sisters, In Shaa Allah. So you've heard me talk a lot about communication, not just in this episode, but throughout almost every single episode. You hear me talk about communication and the 5 steps of discussion and all of the different strategies that go into making sure that each of you are on the same page. But I get this question all of the time from clients or even from people who are just reaching out. So how do I exactly do that? Right? So how do I exactly do that? Whenever I have clients for marriage coaching, this is what we work on so often. This is something that we spend time on so often, over and over and over again, that I thought it would be a good idea to just make a whole workshop dedicated to teaching effective communication, inshallah. So I'm excited to announce the Good Fight workshop, which is focused on teaching you stress-free conflict resolution in just 3 weeks. This is one-on-one coaching, right? So in the future, at some point, it might be group coaching, depending on how things go. But at least for the time being, this is a one-on-one coaching program where I guide you through the techniques that you heard me go through on this podcast in general. This will include plenty of practice scenarios so that by the end of the 3 weeks, people who take this course who take this workshop will be confident about their ability to tackle these difficult conversations with their spouse in a way that you're both heard and that problems finally get addressed, right? So if this sounds like it might be helpful for you and for your family, the link is in the description below to find out more information about the Good Fight workshop. So now that actually does bring us to the end of the episode. Is there anything we're missing?
No.
Okay. So Jazaa K'Allah Khayr for choosing to spend this time with us. We appreciate you. If you haven't already, don't forget to download your free copy of my Healthy Marriage Habits Guide. If you subscribe to our channel, thank you so much. Jazaa K'Allah Khayr. We appreciate you. All 299 of you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to our channel. We would really love to get to that 300, inshallah. It helps us a lot to make sure that the information gets out there. And I think that's everything. So Jazaa K'Allah Khayr. We wish you a wonderful week, and assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.